about what's happening in what ISIS is doing and the thousands of people that they have just slaughtered. It's just again, it's
Yeah, I
unprecedented.
tell
The
people,
only thing that's close to it is Nazi Germany.
right.
Lining up people and just blowing them away.
And
Just
I tell
it's just
people,
cold-blooded genocide is
I
what it
tell
is.
people, you don't think we're in the Great Tribulation? Ask somebody that's a Christian in Syria right now if he's in tribulation. You know, ask a Christian in China if he's in tribulation. Ask Christians who have a sharp knife to their throat right now, and they're being either commanded to change over to and worship Allah or
Yeah.
pay their tax. You know,
Right. So,
if people just would look at the Dome of Rock and see what it says inside the Dome of Rock, that Jesus Christ is not the Son of God, they will understand that that is the spirit of Antichrist.
well, it is, and unless pastors begin to stand up and begin to speak against what Islam is, which is not a religion, it's an ideology, and it's a fascist ideology, it will not tolerate any other religion alongside it, period. And the fact that mosques are being built in this country is incredibly alarming. So, I understand all this. It was interesting how presidential candidate Ben Carson stood up and basically stated that a Muslim should not be president because the Muslim will always put Sharia law over the Constitution. And immediately CARE, which is the Council for American Islamic Relations, stood up and denounced Carson and said that Carson should withdraw from the race. Nonsense. You see, CARE doesn't like free speech, and that's the face of Islam. In other words, you can't say anything against, let me put it this way: you can have free speech as long as it's the free speech that I want you to have. And so Carson says that a president should not be Islamic, and he's right, because an Islamic president would hold Sharia over the Constitution, and that would be a great conflict of interest. Our country is not founded on Sharia law. Our country is founded on Judeo-Christian biblical overview. That's what it's founded on. People try to make this thing with the Masons and the Illuminati and all this stuff from the New Atlantis. Yeah. I get it. The bottom line is, when we look at who came over in the country and we look at the Protestant Reformation and the work of John Locke and others, the idea of law is king, not king is law, lex rex, that whole thing. When we get into that and we look at history and we see what the country was founded on and the fact that the revolution was started because we were overly taxed. Well, guess what? We're overly taxed now, and somehow the American people think this is normal. Oh, we're just supposed to pay 35% of our hard earnings, and the more you make, the more you're taxed. It's like, it's not an incentive. The better a person does, the more they are taxed, the more they are hurt and penalized for doing good. So a tax is a penalty for doing good. If you do well, they want more and more and more and more of your money. This is one of the reasons why we fought the American Revolution for. There needs to be tax reform. It should be some kind of a flat tax, like 10%. I got no problem with 10%. I really don't. But 25 or 30% of my income because I have a good year and then I can't income average that over 2 or 3 years, that's not fair. And I'm the guy that's taking all the risks. I'm the entrepreneur. I'm the small business guy, taking all the risks, using my own money to try to make things work. And I have a good year, and you're right there, and you take my profit. So now I got to borrow money to do what I could have taken that money and invested, or maybe hired somebody, maybe bought some. You're crippling me. And that's what people don't understand. More taxes does not create more wealth for the government. It doesn't. What it does is it impugns the small businessman from being creative, for having the capital that he needs to go out and work. And this is why it doesn't work. And it's all the Democrats ever have. Tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend. And it doesn't work. It never works. Their social programs don't work, and they never will.
Well, you brought it up earlier about you had just visited the Georgia Guidestones.
Yeah.
And so you understand about the bringing about of the age of reason.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, we're looking
Thomas
at
Paine in
Thomas
the crew.
Paine, absolutely, who was an atheist who denied the existence of God and actually was one of the people who actually inspired the American Revolution. And then he went to France and did the same thing for the French Revolution,
which was a bloodbath because there was no Christian roots for the French Revolution, and so that it became a bloodbath where Thomas Paine was one of the organizers of the American Revolution. Here, I'll grant you that, but the thing was it was grounded and rooted in the Reformation, where the French Revolution was not. And that's the difference. Everybody was put in the guillotine for crying out
That's
loud.
right.
It's ridiculous.
That's right, and it was all political, and it, you can go and look, even if you look on, for instance, Wikipedia, and if you look up the French Revolution, that's exactly what you're going to see as a party around a guillotine, and it's at the same time as this is going on with Thomas Paine and his Age of Reason, and that deism and that religious tolerance. They demanded religious toleration, and then an end to that would be an end to religious persecution. Understand, this is not about worshiping God anymore. This is about our right. We can't worship God anymore. We don't have the right to worship our Father in heaven. We don't have the right to say Jesus Christ is the Son of God anymore. It's offensive to people for us to say that. Now, here we go again, right back to Matthew 24. The love of many shall wax cold, right? And many shall be deceived by false prophets. Iniquity shall abound. I mean, what makes a man lawful? He loves. The law is love, right? So we have to understand that if at this time, if people's love is waxing cold, that makes them unlawful.
There's a chapter, and I think I mentioned this earlier, in the Days of Chaos book on lawlessness. And, you look around, and it's just exactly what prophecy tells us. Evil is called good, and good is called evil. I think one of the most stunning interviews that we did in Watchers 9, and I haven't really had too much time to talk about it. Watchers 9 is our 9th in the film, and in our film series called the Watchers series, there's now 9 films in that series, and one of the most chilling interviews is Dr. Brooks Agnew, where I talked to Dr. Agnew about the possibility, the very real possibility of an electromagnetic pulse weapon, an EMP, being detonated over the heartland. And what most people don't understand, America is not in prophecy. We're not there. The Tarshish, young lions, and all that. I get that, but we're not in prophecy. We're not like a major player here. We're not in the Ezekiel 38 war. We're not in the Psalm 83 war. We're not there. And I think there's a reason for it. And perhaps we're taken out. I've written about this before, and I think the threat of an electromagnetic pulse weapon is a very real one. I think Obama has weakened us militarily. I think that we are in grave danger. Other politicians have come to the forefront and talked about the threat, the very real threat of an electromagnetic pulse weapon. And the idea of this can be brought about very simply. The Iranians hate us. They hate our way of life. They hate democracy. They hate the Christian God. They hate everything about us. They do. And we are called the Great Satan in their ideology. And what's interesting here is the Iranians have been testing missiles that go up about 200 miles into the atmosphere. And that's what you need. It's precisely what you need for an electromagnetic pulse weapon. So the scenario would be the Iranians take an oil tanker. There's a gazillion of those running around the planet. They retrofit it as a missile launcher. They put a payload on that missile, a nuclear bomb the size of Hiroshima. They park that baby out in the Gulf of Mexico and eventually launch the rocket. Unless our guys are right on top of that and fire anti-missiles to bring it down, if that thing goes up 200 miles into the atmosphere and detonates, it will send out an electromagnetic pulse, which will short circuit all electrical devices. And that means anything with an off and on switch becomes immediately unusable. Your car doesn't start, your iPhone won't work, your computer's down, the light in your office doesn't come on, your refrigerator begins to grow warm, nothing works.
No cash register will work. People won't be able to buy, sell, or trade because they won't be able to access their credit cards and other things. Now I agree with you on that, but I look more towards North Korea, and I think Hollywood is telling in that when you look at movies like
very much so, yeah, I hear you.
Or Olympus Has Fallen. That's North Korea and EMP blast or so.
Yeah, very, very true. Look, the scenario is a very real one, but what I'm saying is if an EMP happens, it puts us back into the pre-industrial revolution times, and that's devastating. Millions of people will die in the first 2 weeks. If it happens in winter, it's toast.
Most people don't know how to survive and do anything for themselves anymore.
Well, no, they don't. And everything, we live in this false sense of security. Oh, I'll just go down to the market. Well, what if the market's not there? And I challenge your listeners, the next time they're in the market, go in and just go to any aisle, like the Campbell's soup, and just take a tomato soup and then reach back and see how many tomato soup cans are there. 6. Get where I'm going with this?
Right.
And people don't understand, but the shelves are stocked. The trucks roll in at 3 or 4 in the morning, and the shelves are restocked every 24 to 48 hours at the most. Everything is recycled. When the trucks stop rolling, the food stops rolling. The shelves get picked clean in 12 hours or less. And that's what people don't get. And that's why I'm a big proponent of stockpiling food and water and having a garden and learning how to become self-sufficient.
Well,
because if something like this happens, it's toast.
How many perishables are kept in stores that will go bad in a little or no time without any kind of refrigeration?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So these are the days of chaos, Randall. And, we didn't get a chance too much to talk about what's in the DVD, and I'm exhausted, and it's 10 o'clock here, and I'm going to head to bed. I've got a big day tomorrow. We're in Ferreton, New Jersey at the conference here. If you're interested in checking it out, it's lamarzulli.wordpress.com, and you can see where we are. I'll be speaking tomorrow night, all day Saturday, and, of course, Sunday morning. So hope to see you there, folks. Randall, thanks so much for having me on the show. If you're interested, folks, in checking out The Days of Chaos, the book and the DVD, lamarzulli.net. And you can avail yourself of what we believe is vital information in these days of chaos.
Right on. And thank you, brother, for coming on.
Thanks, Randall. Appreciate it, man.
And you have an open invitation, just like a few others. Anytime you want to come on, just holler at me. We'll make it happen. And,
thank you, sir.
And thank you so much. Get you some rest.
Thank you.
You've been listening to L.A. Marzulli, and I want you to go out and check out some of L.A. stuff. You can go right over to his website. Look, I don't even have to give you a website. All you got to do is type in L.A. Marzulli. On the internet, you'll find all kinds of interesting stuff. Go to YouTube. You can go to his blog site. You can go anywhere. You can check out his Acceleration Radio. There's all kinds of information that you guys need to be accessing for people like LA. And we are just so blessed to have him here with us tonight. And I hope that you enjoyed the broadcast. I'm going to keep the stream going, guys. We're going to play some music as we are going out, and later on we'll be going on full blast. You can access this MP3 later. You can catch it on our Podbean account. You can get it over on GWILD Radio. You can just go there and you can find out any way you want to do it. You can also listen probably by tomorrow morning on iHeartRadio. It's accessible on iTunes. You can get it any way you want to, guys. I don't want you to miss one thing, any bit of this information. And until next time, you've been listening to Diffusion of Delusion Radio. I'm Randall Mann. Good night, and God bless.